Welcome to the August 22nd Eclipse OpenJ9 community call. If you can add your name and affiliation to the list of attendees so we have some idea of who's regularly attending, that would be great. Excuse me, losing my voice a little bit. All right, we got the usual agenda. If there's something you'd like to add, please feel free to reach out. Chime in now or add it in at the any other business section. So we don't have a lightning talk scheduled this week, but if there is one you'd like to give, reach out to me and we'll get it set up. Let's take a look at the recent end user issues. The most recent one is a issue with JPackage, I guess.
Yeah, so there's a new API added in Java 19 that we didn't implement. So you get an assert when JPackage calls it. So we'll have to implement it and try JPackage and see what else is missing, if anything.
Okay. All right. Usually I ask if there's anything else in this list that needs some discussion or investigation or attention here. All right, doesn't sound like it, so we'll jump back to the agenda. Brings us to the release schedule. The 041 release. We're still looking at a code split this week. Is that still on track?
Yep. I don't know any reason why we wouldn't split.
Okay. Then if we pull up the release, there are a couple of blockers, the OpenSSL support. Is that likely to land in time for the code split?
Yep.
Or
The OpenSSL is ready to go. Got a PR open. There's just a bunch of build instruction changes that need to be reviewed. That's probably the only thing that's going to slow it down.
Okay, it's good to hear. And then the JVMTI hook method exit blocker. Do we have a status on that?
Yeah, that one's under investigation. Devin's making some progress on figuring out what's going on.
Okay. That doesn't sound like we expect it to be ready for the code split.
Yeah, it's, I guess it's up in the air whether it will be ready for the code split, but if not, then it'll deliver it.
Okay, and the change, or I guess I was going to ask about how risky the change is likely to be, but hard to answer that until we find the bug.
Right.
The change might be a little risky because it's essentially it's a battery low in power that might require a little bit of refactoring, but we'll see if Devin finds a way of minimizing it.
Okay. And there's not, is there something we can disable that would be a cheaper, less risky fix for this release?
I mean, well, essentially you would just if you're doing JVMTR X-rays, you just wouldn't do AOT, and then that would solve it.
Okay.
On power, right? On X and everything else, it's fine.
Okay.
So the reason I set it as a blocker is because it seemed like a regression. Does it seem like it is a regression, or is it just something that we've been getting lucky for a long time, just happened to show up recently?
I don't know all the details because Devin's looking at it, but the change that exposed this, I don't think that the underlying code that got generated should have not done this. But that, I mean, like what was happening before was for our AOT, whenever we had X-Trace or JVMTI, we just have this like guard, and then based on the guard, we would then do the call out. But the call out code should have been the same. I don't like we didn't nothing about that changed. It was just a matter of how the conditional stuff changed. But I mean, yeah, Devin would probably know more because he's actually looking at the core dump and the code. So
Right.
I mean, it could be a regression, but it just never showed up before, right? But there was no reason for it not to show up before. So I don't know.
All right. Well, I mean, we can make a call once we have a fix.
All right. Anything else in this list that needs some attention or discussion? There's
There was
another
a-
thing marked as a blocker here as well. Another crash.
Yeah, there's not been too much progress on that one yet. So still investigating, still figuring out what's going wrong.
So it's the same story. Like we hadn't seen it before. It all of a sudden started showing up. So it seemed like a regression.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a couple of these that we need to get some attention on to try to get sorted out before the code split if we can, or at least to get an understanding. Is there somebody who can be pulled in to help on that other blocker? On the NIO load test blocker?
Yeah, I mean, I'll work with Annabelle to see how she's doing and if she needs any help investigating that.
Okay. Thanks for that. All right. Anything else on this list we want to look at or talk about? It still is a lot of items as we come up to that code split. So I suspect some of these things are either going to have to be moved out or double delivered.
So Henry, I think there's still more JIT things that can be moved out. There seems
Yeah,
to be...
I went through the list and talked with folks who are working on some of the different things and moved out a number of them. A few of them are things that are associated with our prod with assumes builds where we're hoping to be able to enable prod with assumes for the JIT in at least sanity.functional, and we're hoping to be able to do that for 0.41. So those particular things I'm hoping to keep in here for now. Hopefully we can get those items sorted. But yeah, if there are additional things that ought to move out, I'll move them out sooner.
All right. If there's nothing else then for the 041 release. I guess that brings us to JDK 21. Where the last time we talked, we were still somewhat delayed. Just pull the plan up and we can see if there's enough items here. I'm not sure it's worth trying to talk through them. Do we have a sense of how this is coming? Are we reasonably on track for our delivery dates or for our mid to late September goal?
I think the only goal for mid to late September was the FFI work. I don't know if that will have all the other stuff done in that time frame.
When we had talked previously, we my understanding was the other items for 21 were going to be complete within that time frame, and FFI was the long pole item, and it was the one that was going to set the timeline for delivery. Has that changed?
Seems like a lot of stuff still needs to be resolved in that short period of time. It's not the way things usually go.
Okay, so it sounds like we. All right. So, Pete, are you suggesting that more of these things need to be moved out, or that that mid to late September date is not what we're targeting anymore?
Seems a bit unrealistic to me, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll get it all done. I don't know. We were supposed to have things moved out already, but I don't know if they did. Everything that could be moved out did get moved out. Toby's not on the call today.
Okay.
And do we have Cheng? Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
How is the FFI work outlook?
Oh, so far we already cleaned up all the G-check test failures out there on our OpenJ9. So far, I will just start to work on the prototype to support unit support in terms of the downcall. So there are a couple of stuff, more details to figure out how they work. It works. But we'll need to find out in the next couple of days to see how it works.
All right. We had talked about doing an M0 build after August 24th. Is that still the plan?
It's still the plan, but the Semru builds, the pipeline builds for Semru aren't working right now, and I'm not sure when they'll be working. So besides waiting for the 24th, we need to wait for those pipelines. I don't know if Adam has any comments about the pipelines.
Can probably look at that again this week now that the release is done from July.
Do you have a sense of how much work it is to get those pipelines up and running, or is this we haven't looked at it yet?
I mean, they're, I'll say 80% of the way there, but there does seem to be a few different reasons why the compiles are failing, depending on which platform. So there might be like a couple things, but there was some platforms that were passing. So hopefully there's just a few small fixes. Just need some time to look at it.
Okay. Anything else we want to touch on for the JDK 21 release? Okay. Adam, is there an update on the infrastructure?
Nothing really to report. All the machines are online that should be. So.
Okay. I don't see Marius, so I'm assuming no update on JIT server. No Toby, so I assume no update on CRIU. Hung, is there an update on Valhalla?
Yeah, so the implicit creation attribute is now being working on.
Sorry, I missed that.
So the implicit creation attribute is now being working on.
Okay. Let's see. Thanks. Are there any other business that we want to tackle this week? I don't have a link handy, but I will mention that there is a another draft JEP related to the integrity draft JEP, which is looking to restrict JNI. It will require the same kind of options that Panama has for FFI for using JNI as well. So there will be a command line option to opt modules into being able to use JNI and to be able to opt the class path into JNI as well. So something that probably won't land until, optimistically, I'd say 22, but it's something to be thinking about and looking at. And worth reaching out to your stakeholders to make sure that they're prepared for this and that any concerns there get raised. All right. If there is nothing else, then I guess we'll call it here and hold the next one of these meetings next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.